dark. The other one was lighter, or it started out lighter. Yeah, this camera is so silly. Okay, so what happened to me? Really interesting thing. I was in India, and I was forced to leave. I was forced to leave. Why? Because some people called the Tamil Tigers were fighting with some other people called the Sri Lankan government, and yeah, actually also the Indian government and military went over there and they killed this guy who had been the leader of the Tamil Tigers for 12 years. It's a minority movement. The Tamil Tigers it's the minority Tamil people who live on the island of Sri Lanka and who want self-representation and aren't getting it, and so for years and years they're fighting, or they're basically kind of like the underdog. So, but they're supposedly the terrorists, which probably they are. I'm guessing that they are terrorists. I don't know because I haven't studied it. So those people, the leader was killed, and then suddenly, all over Tamil Nadu is a part of India which is in the south, towards the peninsula, not all the way towards the peninsula. I don't know if it goes all the way to the peninsula, I'm not sure. But it's towards the southern tip of India, and the people speak Tamil, of course. And the island of Sri Lanka is not very far from there, across the Bay of Bengal, in the Indian Ocean, I think it is. I'm not very good at geography. So Tamil and Tamil, right? So the thing that happened is that all of the Tamilis got upset and they started targeting Western people. Okay, so that's not a problem for me because I'm not afraid of anything, but it was a problem for the Indian government because they don't want there to be any international incidents, as in Americans get their heads lopped off or anything happens. So they went around to all the different ashrams and all the hotels and started checking on all of the people in Tamil Nadu who are of European descent, Americans, Europeans, light-colored people, light-skinned people, and I didn't have a really good reason to be in India, as in I wasn't being employed by a company. I had a tourist visa, and I'd been staying there for a couple of years on a tourist visa, which is also not so bad if you have a chunky bank account and you can prove that you're living on your own money, but I couldn't do any of that. So since I was living in an ashram and everything was being paid for by somebody other than myself, I had to leave. Otherwise I would have been deported, and deportation means you can never return to India, which is the home of my soul. So India is my mother. Okay, so it would have been a really bad thing for me not to be able to go home. So my collaborator, the man that I call my guru, my teacher, who is actually just my collaborator, simply my collaborator, sent me home. Home as in the place of my birth. In other words, where this physical body came to be. So I came back to Fort Wayne, Indiana, stayed here, at first with my sister. Now, that was wonderful for about 4 months, until she started to go crazy. Well, what was happening was, my sister was saying that I had to become a wage slave at McDonald's, or someplace like that, to get money, and I really didn't want to do that. And I didn't feel there was any necessity for me to do that, because my sister has a house full of stuff, and she also has a wonderful big garden in the back, and I was taking care of the garden. We were growing vegetables like anything, so the food was taken care of, the house was taken care of. There wasn't any reason for me, and there's so many free services here. I could go and get, the health checkup and everything that I want. There was no reason for me to get a job. And what I really wanted to do was to work on some other things besides going to a 9-to-5 or something like this. But she became upset about that. Now, why did she do that? Because it was supposed to happen, okay? Not because she's an unreasonable person And I'm not stupid because I didn't want to look for work, and I'm not lazy because I didn't want to look for work. It's not what was supposed to happen, okay? I spent a lot of time feeling guilty about it, but, well, not a lot of time, not like I used to, but then I just decided this is silliness. The fact was, she has a huge house, she's alone, she needs help because she's 72, 73, 74 years old by now. Okay, or this year she'll probably be, let's see, she's 73. Okay, she's half crippled. She still goes to work every day because she still needs the money. And I was trying to come up with an idea or work on some plan to get some money so that I could support her. But the universe didn't see it that way. I was supposed to leave. So at some point we had arguments and she threw me out. Okay, that happened. And I felt terrible. I felt terrible about arguing with my dear beloved sister. But it was supposed to happen. Okay, so where did I go from there? I went to stay with a couple in another big house with a lot of junk. And I worked on some things for them for 3 or 4 months, 3 months I guess. And at that point, again, something started to happen to get me out of that house. I was working like anything to try and keep my head above water and to stay on an even keel with that couple. People that I, frankly, were almost total strangers to me. I mean, we had met years and years ago, and we had known each other years ago, but hadn't been, like close friendship or anything of the kind. We hadn't worked together, so we were only acquaintances. I moved into the house with people who I barely knew. I worked for them. I worked my tail off, basically, for 3 months, working on their websites and whatever they wanted me to do. But they weren't happy with me, okay? Literally, they were not happy people. And they decided not to be happy with me. In other words, they were with me and they weren't happy. And basically what it is that people find fault with each other and project their difficulties onto each other, and so that started to happen. In other words, for the longest time I was resisting doing that with them, that I wasn't mirroring back to them their own self-hatred, which is literally what it was. But at some point I slipped. I started to slip, and something started to come up within my system to mirror that self-hatred back to them. Now that's exactly what also happened with me and my sister. At some point I started to take on some of her attributes and mirror them back to her. Now this happens to people all the time, and this is why people get into arguments and disagreements with each other and fight with each other and everything. So, and I'm 100% aware of this, but not 100% in control most of the time, okay? So, as they say in German, Tagesform, like some days it's good, some days it's bad. So, but all you need with a person who's not particularly forgiving is one slip up, and then you're done, okay? So what happened with the couple in the house was, again, I started at some point, and really these people are wonderful people, I love them dearly, but at some point the energy came and I started to project back to them their own self-hatred. Unwillingly, because I didn't want to do that. And does it mean that we shouted at each other? No. They shouted at me and I didn't say anything. But basically, it was enough for me of a signal to say, okay, I gotta go. I gotta leave. Okay? Gotta leave. So what did I do? Coming up next.